In this video, we'll talk about Hurricane Helene and what it will mean for New Jersey over the next couple of days. It's meteorologist Joe Martucci here. Good to be with you on this Wednesday night as we talk about Helene, which is slated to make landfall as a Category 3 or Category 4 hurricane on the Big Bend of Florida. Let's talk about what it could mean for New Jersey, though, here. The main story is no severe impacts expected. But we will get some much needed rain from this. This should overall be a benefit to us. One round comes this weekend. Another round comes during the middle part of the week. Although that middle part of the week could come as a nor'easter. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. Now, if a nor'easter comes, I still don't think it's one of severe impacts. Here's a look at Helene. This is from the 5 o'clock update from the National Hurricane Center. It's Category 1 hurricane moving to the north at 12 miles an hour. You see that orange area there around the storm? That is the wind field of tropical storm force winds or greater, 39 miles an hour or greater. This is expected to be about 370 miles wide, those winds, those tropical storm force winds at its peak, right around the time it's going to make landfall on Thursday evening here. Now, Sandy is the largest storm in terms of diameter in Atlantic hurricane history. This one will not be as big as Sandy, but it is going to be greater than 90% of the storms that form at this latitude, which is about 25 to 30 degrees latitude by the time it makes landfall in Florida. The eastern part of the Gulf has been battered by not just hurricanes, but major hurricanes over the past couple of years. Here's a look at all the storms that made landfall since 2018 here, and we work from east to west with these names as you go from top to bottom on this list. The storm surge is a huge problem with this storm, and that's because of the size, the sheer size of the storm. The bigger the storm, the more water it can get into its influence and push onto land. So from anywhere really from Englewood in Florida here south of Tampa Bay, all the way to about Apalachicola, we're talking about significant, if not life-threatening storm surge with this as we go forward into Thursday and into Thursday night. A lot of rain with this as well, as we see in many tropical systems. We do have a high risk for excessive rain in those pink areas. That's the capital of Florida, Tallahassee, as well as parts of the Smoky Mountains in North Carolina, as well as Georgia here. Now, we take a look at Helene at 8 p.m. on Thursday. Here it is making landfall in the Big Bend of Florida. Likely to do so as a Category 3, perhaps as a Category 4, and those tropical storm force winds will be about 370 miles wide. So this impacts places like Florida just as much as it'll impact places like Tampa, even though Orlando's inland and Tampa's on the coast when it comes to those winds alone. Both will see tropical storm force winds. Then, as we go into Thursday night and early Friday, we get something really interesting and, to be honest with you, rare to happen. The tropical storm Helene, by this point, will interact with this trough of low pressure in the upper levels of the atmosphere. It's called the Fujiwara effect. Now, if you've seen the movie Twister or Twisters, you've heard of this phenomenon before. And this is when two low pressure areas rotate around a common center. They kind of get intermixed with each other and start rotating and then eventually become one. Now, when it does so on Saturday here, it's going to be a weaker storm, but it can't even really move east because we have ridge of high pressure over the Bahamas and another one in New England that's saying, hey, you can't move any further east. Now, that being said, it's not going to be sunny and dry here over the weekend. We will see some rain, but we're not going to see the core of this come through. And if we didn't have those high pressure systems, we'd be talking about some significant tropical rainfalls more than likely, like we've seen with Ida a few years ago, and like we saw last year during the month of September as well. But we're not getting that. Now, as we go into Wednesday, there is the possibility that a low pressure system, the remnants of Helene, go off the North Carolina coast and turn to the east-northeast, essentially becoming a nor'easter as it strengthens as a cold core system. Tropical systems are warm core. This is a cold core system. It may or may not do so. Either way, that low pressure system in the Midwest will come through during the middle part of next week and bring some additional rain. So we're going to break this really bone dry weather we've seen at some point, one way or another, about a week from now. Here's a look at our futurecast Friday and Saturday. You see a couple of those rain showers working on in here Friday night into our Saturday, and there will even be a few showers on Sunday as well. It's kind of hard to say how much it's going to rain. I know we don't like that answer. I don't like that answer either. But when you're dealing with a tropical system, the sheer size of it, the intensity of it, the dynamics behind it, it's hard to pinpoint just where that rain is going to be at what time, even 60 hours out. What I will say is that I don't believe Saturday or Sunday will be a washout for us in New Jersey. And if you have outdoor plans, and many of us do, if you can be flexible around the weather, then I think you'll be okay. But I don't think it's going to be completely dry all weekend long. Now we go to the European model for next week. This is the storm, that core, that low pressure of the storm that's moving through. And notice that rain coming as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday here. Now, this is just one model run, but there is good consensus among the American model, that's the GFS model, and the Canadian model on rain coming at some point between Tuesday into Wednesday night. Will there be a secondary low pressure system from this that turns into a nor'easter? Possibly. If it does so, we're talking about some coastal flooding, but it's not going to be the 10 days of coastal flooding we saw in Atlantic City earlier this week and last week. Wouldn't be like that. It would be 2 or 3 rounds, and then we're done with it. And I think that would just be a minor flood stage. And the reason why I say this, we go to our forecast wave heights for Friday morning. Well, this is lower than we've seen in the past week. And we go to Tuesday morning, it looks almost exactly the same here. So I'm not expecting significant flooding, coastal flooding from this. It would be minor flood stage, that nuisance kind of flooding that we see several dozen times a year at most. In terms of our storm confidence, very high confidence that it is going to impact the Big Bend, Florida, as a major hurricane, with storm surge the most significant issue for this. In terms of New Jersey, does that nor'easter develop? That's low confidence right now. Although I am fairly confident it'll rain this weekend in the middle of next week. I just don't have those details for you, except to say that this weekend's not going to be a washout. Middle of next week could, and we could use a soaking rain day because we are very dry. But medium confidence on just exactly those details of the rain. So to recap here, no severe impacts expected in New Jersey here in the Garden State. Rain falls twice, once this weekend, one in the middle of next week. I think Monday looks dry for us, actually. It's going to be that dry in-between day. And then that remnant of Helene, low pressure system, may reform as a nor'easter as we go into the middle of next week. I'm meteorologist Joe Martucci, certified digital meteorologist by the American Meteorological Society. Thanks for watching this video. Wherever you're watching it, make sure to subscribe and follow for more.